That's a great question. Hey, the Nichols say, would there have been a garbage heap in the temple complex? No, there would not have been a garbage heap in the temple complex. Let's go back to Roth to ask why. Now he's going to explain to us why this seal would be would point to the location of the temple. Here we go.
And with King Hezekiah, it's particularly interesting because according to 2 Kings 18 and 19, King Hezekiah, when the Assyrian army invaded, led by Sennacherib, he basically took this surrender letter that Sennacherib had given him, and he went into the Holy of Holies, okay, where he spread it out probably on the shewbread table, facing the Ark of the Covenant, to pray to Father Yah, and we would expect that a king who had actually gone into that innermost area of the temple and seemed to have spent a good deal of time in and around that area, we should not be surprised that some of his official correspondence, if not the correspondence itself, but one of the seals that went with them, would be in fact found very close to where the Holy of Holies was. Okay? And so this is a bullseye. This is a bullseye that tells us that Hezekiah was in that part of the temple, and therefore that the temple is in that location, which matches the references in Psalms and other parts of the Old Testament.
This is a bullseye, Rob. It's a bullseye because Hezekiah went into the temple with a letter. So now it must be that seal, right? We found
I think this
that
is
seal.
the actual seal.
Yeah, it's the actual seal that Hezekiah took into the Holy of Holies. That's how we know. And it's not that Hezekiah had hundreds or thousands of these that he was setting out all over the place. Oh no. There's only one. There's only one seal.
Well, wait a minute. By that reasoning, what if we found the seal in Bethlehem? Would we say Bethlehem was the temple?
Exactly.
What if we find one out, in the desert somewhere? Is that where the temple was?
The funny part is that
This is foolishness. Absolute foolishness.
Marty Hertz posted this on our Facebook page as if this was going to convince us. Like, oh my word, they found a seal. That must be where the temple is. Are you really? Come on. Let's listen to the real archaeologist, the real scholar who actually found the seal and why it was in the place it was found. Here we go.
I'm walking into the royal building that we revealed back in 1986 and prepared for the public after our excavations in 2009. You can see that this building is beautifully preserved. It was built at the time of King Solomon and used until the end of the First Temple period, meaning destroyed by the Babylonians at 586 BCE. We found a destruction layer. And all these jars that you can see here, including...
Okay, hang on just a sec. So there's your timeline for this building. You have a royal building built in the time of Solomon. It was used all the way up until 586. That's the First Temple period. That's during the time of Hezekiah, which means that the temple wasn't there. Why?
That's my point. And see, how come we have these guys who call themselves scholars, but they don't actually hear out
the scholars,
the third or fourth generation Israeli archaeologist who explains the whole situation. One of the words he says in situ. He uses this phrase meaning on site. That they found it on site. In other words, it wasn't sold on the black market. It was actually under proper archaeological protocol. It was found, photographed, and properly handled under the direction of this top-notch archaeologist. But he's not going to hear her out. What he's going to do, he's going to take this little bit of information, he's going to run with it. He's going to say, okay, I'm done. I don't need to hear you talk anymore. I'm going to go because I have to make a YouTube video to explain to the world why we have a bullseye.
Why I'm right and why you're wrong.
Yeah, and it's just like this is the core issue. The core issue for our discipleship in Yeshua is learning how to listen. Be quick to hear, slow to speak. And what has happened here, this is an example, And I know this because I know in my marriage, I grow at times where I'll take a little bit of information. Maybe my wife will say something.
Every
and then
guy
I create
is
a new,
like that.
I create a new picture, right? I run with it and make a picture that's actually inaccurate. And then it's only later, it's like, oh, that's what you meant. Okay, so what we're dealing with here is basic communication skills that apparently Roth, and I would say the guy with the Et Sefer Bible, they take a little bit and they run with it and they don't hear the whole story. And that is a key problem with our hearts individually. Are we good listeners?